Pocket Party.
I was like, I know a lot of people I know I didn't get to see each other or be around each other or anything for New Year's, but I wanted to get that sentiment out there that I feel every time around this time of the year, but in a lot of ways much more so because of what we've all been going through. And so this is what I wrote. To those who checked in, hung out, hung in there, listened, spoke, returned calls, returned texts, liked, followed, subscribed, bought a drink, picked up a check, cut a check, tipped the waitstaff, helped with an errand, tried their hardest, didn't let differences destroy friendships, laughed, made me laugh, or helped in any way whatsoever through those dark and deep woods of 2021. Thank you. Happy New Year, and may this year bring you ridiculously good luck and good fortune.
Pocket Party.
This is Morgan Freeman, and you are listening to one of the most important podcasts ever made in the history of podcasting, the Pocket Party Podcast with my good friend, Darren Carter.
And we're back. Hey, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. We are about to call Mr. Mike Black, episode 205 of the Pocket Party Podcast.
Well.
He answered.
Look who's 3 minutes late.
I know. First call of the new year. Am I your first call of the new year?
No.
Okay, good. That would have been really sad. You're like,
God.
Yeah, I know. It's like
the
we're
third
like,
day.
I know it's the third day. You're like, dude. Yeah, you're like, because the way you're counting, you're like, it's 3 minutes. Yeah, my first phone call of the year. I'm all amped up to talk to another human being, Darren Carter. No, it's
no. I expect excellence,
expecting broadcast excellence,
and I demand people not be tardy.
I know, dude. I'm like, I looked at the clock and I believe you because it said 11:02, and then as the time it rang, it probably clicked in, and I'm like, damn it, because here's my excuse. I wanted a fresh, hot cup of Java, and listen. Yeah, I want to be caffeinated. You know what though? I get excited when I know that I'm going to have a podcast with you. And I don't know if it's just my...
No, that's creepy.
Yeah, it is, though, dude. I opened up the blinds. I make sure the light's in. I actually was humming this song to myself right before I called you. Was
it Kenny G?
You know, that would be if I drew the shades and lowered the lights.
Lit some incense.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Mike Black. We're gonna have him back. We're gonna talk about how I
get very excited when you're about to call me.
Yeah. Oh, I finally tried those tamales in a can, and no, boy, I've been using
what a weird aphrodisiac that would be.
I know, exactly. I know that, my shaky binoculars and my bird watching guide.
You'd have to really lay a lot of groundwork with your lover if that was your thing. Look, I want you to keep a really open mind.
Yeah, be like,
what I absolutely need on our evening of passion is, are you familiar with tamales? I guess. Okay, hear me out. What I want is tamales that are processed in a can.
She's like,
that really gets me going.
Yeah. I know, because maybe at first she's thinking like, oh, there's some sort of like, like we're gonna unwrap the tamale. Maybe that's like a euphemism. Like we're gonna.
Right? Am I the tamale? No. I want actual tamales.
Yeah.
It's not a metaphor.
Smushed up in a can. Apparently, when I posted that picture, I was being, I was joking around doing sort of a callback. I was like, I want to thank my homeboy Mike Black for turning me on to tamales in a can. And a few people were like, I got those in my cupboard right now.
No.
Oh, I will say, I just thought of this. The few people that responded, I don't think any of them were of the Latin heritage. So maybe
I think that's a safe bet.
Exactly. They're like, we're like,
I'm sure it's got to be. I'm not like steeped in the culture. I was, I'm from Aurora, Colorado.
Right.
But I'd imagine it's the same as when you tell Italians that, I had Chef Boyardee last night. I really love Italian food. They're like, what are you talking about?
I know. Oh, I know. Or you can get so used to the fake food that
Yeah.
you don't like the quote authentic food. You're like, this is too authentic. I want the regular.
Yeah.
I like ketchup on my burrito or whatever.
I have that. There's, not to bag too much on Mexican food, but there are soups out there, like real, like Oaxacan, authentic sort of stuff where it's like, try our chicken soup, and it's very Indiana Jonesy. It's got that, like, you use the whole pulmonary system of the chicken in your soup. I'm good. I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah, once it got
my mom is a lot more, she's like what they call Texican, because she, like, grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, and it's a much bigger thing there. And she would eat things that I was like, we'd go to, like, she would take me to real authentic places in Denver and stuff where, it was like the last holdout lived there, and out here, like, she loves LA because, there's like really fresh avocados, which is a big part of it. And like, I was a little embarrassed because we have these lemon trees at my apartment complex, and she didn't like ask or look around or anything. Just immediately when she saw him, she just started picking lemons off him. I was like, Mom, I'm not sure if that's in my lease agreement. Like,
I know.
I don't know if I'm allowed to have those lemons either.
Apartment 213 was seeing,
Yeah, it's like, my rent's pretty low. I don't want to mess with these guys, but there's a couple of places here in Koreatown that are very authentic, and they do, like, she found a place where I could get my, like, medium level Mexican food. Like,
yeah.
Like, one of the things I really like that, like, real hardcore Mexicans are not super into is a bean and cheese burrito dry. Like, no salsa on it, no nothing.
Dude,
like,
that's what I like.
Well, of course it is, Darren.
Yeah, exactly.
But look at you.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I could have told you that was your order going in. Like, my friend will be having it. Yeah.
And when I say dry, I mean, because we have to make sure it doesn't mix with the ketchup that I'm going to dip it in.
Well, exactly. Like, yeah. And but I really enjoy it. I like the flavor of the beans, kind of untouched,
Yeah.
And
totally.
And they'll make, like, most of the places out here will make, like, a real big one, and it's a full meal. Like, you feel good afterwards. But I'm eating that, and I'm like, they bring mine out, and I'm like, okay. And she's like, go ahead and start without me, because she knows me, I think, is why she did this.
Yeah.
She goes, you go ahead and start without me, because I'm actually, for as kind of a gruff personality as I have, I'm a very light touch when it comes to getting grossed out easily. That is not a challenge to the listeners.
Right.
People hear that and they think, oh, he's going to love this. No, please don't send me gross things.
Right.
I'm not kidding, and it's not funny to me or cool.
Right.
I really get grossed out easily. I have a very visual mind, so it doesn't take much. And so, like, almost always I'll be eating somewhere and someone will want to tell me about, like, their cartilage replacement or something like that. And I'm like, I can't. Please don't. Leave me alone,
You're like, I get the idea. Yeah.
But my mom is kind of famous in our family for doing, she'll, like, slave over a meal for, like, 3 hours. And then just as you start to take your first bite, she'll tell you about something horrible that happened to one of our cousins, something like that. And you're like, Mom, come on. Yeah. And then she'll realize what she's doing. Oh, I'm sorry. But, like, she hadn't had anyone to talk to for the last 3 hours. And just wants to talk, and it just doesn't occur to her,
Yeah.
But she kind of knew this would do it with me. So she was like, you go ahead and start. Like, go ahead and start eating your burrito. And I start eating it, and sure enough, they bring her this dish that has, like, all sorts of fixins surrounding it, so you don't really notice the center so much right away.
Yeah.
But I see it, and I think, oh, is that, like, did she get a burrito that's, like, covered in salsa, like a wet burrito or something? And then my mind, it was like my mind was playing a trick on me, going, don't make sense of this. Don't really look at this too long.
Don't look, yeah.
My mind was just going, yeah, that's enough. You've seen enough. Like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go back to your burrito.
Yeah.
And so I kind of did. I went back to my burrito and ate for a little bit longer. But then curiosity just finally got the better of me, and I look over at her meal, and it's literally looking back at me.
Oh, no.
It was a full, like, trout.
Oh, gosh.
Laid out, but like they didn't do anything to it. They didn't clean it. They didn't gut it. They didn't, like, none of the stuff that you're supposed to do to a fish when you catch it.
It's like it's winking at you. It's like, hey, Mike, the boys are back
I don't
in
think
town.
I don't think they even scaled it. Like, you gotta scale them, don't you? Like, I'm not a big fisherman, but they're like the basics you're supposed to do. And they're like, no, screw all that. We just put it over a flame, and then we put it on a plate.
Yeah,
that's how we do it here.
Right. Like, I went to this. Gosh, what was it? Was either a Mongolian. I think it was a Mongolian barbecue. Yeah, it was in the Bay Area. And I'm like, my friend got me into that. He's like, it's healthy. You can get a ton of vegetables, and then you can add some chicken. And it's just, you eat a lot of food. It's really good. It's usually not that expensive, for like under like, $15. You can really, especially when you're on the road. And I just don't want to eat fast food all the time. So I'm like, that's perfect Mongolian. And they had shrimp, but I'm used to seeing shrimp in I'm probably used to seeing shrimp battered, where it doesn't even look like it's just battered shrimp. And so there it had like the little legs and the eyeballs and the. It was too. Yeah, man, I couldn't do it. I was like, this is
the
creepy.
Cockroach of the sea.
Exactly, and it looked like that. I was like, I'm good. And my friend was like, no, the eyeballs are the best part. And he's like, showing, and I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah. I don't, on any living thing, I think what sucks is, and I don't know if you're aware of this, there are very popular diets that have to do with your blood type.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this, yep.
And they tell you the things that you're supposed to be eating for that blood type. Well, mine is, by most people's definition, the worst you can get, which is A positive. And that sounds great, but it's not. What it is, it means you process protein not very well at all.
Oh. Or
dairy or stuff like you're really supposed to be almost vegetarian. And I think that that's true on every level with me. I think I was if I was designed to be a vegetarian in practically every way. I love animals. My body tends to take like meat and cheese and stuff like that and just immediately go to fat rather than doing anything good with it, know?
Yeah.
Like I swell up if I have too much of it and stuff like that, And so I really think by default that's what my setting,
Yeah.
And on a psychological level, I think that's part of why I get grossed out so easily, is because my body is like, you don't need a lot of this, so don't eat it,
Yeah.
and so I think that really happens to me. And but like whenever someone tells me, oh, the best part of the animal is this or that, it's usually something gross to me.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, oh, you would just love the liver, chicken livers. Have you had chicken livers? No. That sounds terrible.
Exactly.
It sounds like the worst thing I could ever have. And at that meal, in fact, my mom goes, the best part of the fish, she's like, she said it so much that it became like a buzzword to me. She was like, the fish brain is a delicacy.
Wow.
Nowadays, when I hear the word delicacy, I'm already halfway out.
Yeah, one foot's already towards the exit. It's a delicacy.
Yeah.
No, I said deli. It's a deli. We're going to a deli.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
care what it is. I don't want it. You know, like,
I saw.
you know what's a delicacy?
Yeah.
Escargot. You know what that is? Snail.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say it's when I get in my car and I go.
No, it's not a really corny joke. But that makes me just as nauseous. That horrible joke that you just told.
What makes you? We're gonna play a new game. What makes Mike more nauseous? Escargot or this corny joke?
Or Darren's horrible joke.
Hey, did you hear about the snail that was on top of the turtle? You know what he said? He said, "Wee."
Where did you learn that joke?
Dude,
horrible man.
You know what? I'll tell you where I learned that one. I used to when I first. Right before I moved to LA, and also when I lived in LA, the first year, I taught traffic school, and it was one of those things where they're like, "We're going to pay you, some good money, and you're going to teach these people how to, that got tickets 8 hours of driving, instruction." And and I learned right away, like they don't want to be there. I don't want to be. None of us want to be there. So I thought, how can I kill time? Still get the information out legally, but how can we kill time? So one of the things that I would do is I'd be like, "What's up, guys? How you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? Kind of weird that I'm out here in the country with the chair next to me, but anyways, if you like this show and you want to help out, go to CAMEO. I do birthday shout-outs, anniversary shout-outs, or if you just want to do a donation, go to DarrenCarter.com, PayPal, or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic. Now let's get back to the show." Because these things would start at 8:45 in the morning, and we'd be like, "Hi, everybody. I'm your instructor." And actually, I got to tell you, it actually helped me.
And you had to log it. How many hours was the courses? Like 8 hours.
8 hours, yeah. Sometimes they'd break it up, like Monday night, Tuesday night, or it'd be an all-day session on a Saturday. Like you'd start at 8:45 or 9:45. I forget. It was like in the morning like that, and then you get out at like 3:45 And
now, was yours one of the pizza comedy traffic schools?
Oh yeah, they had all those like "let us amuse you," like the word "let us amuse you." No, mine was like a random, because at that time there was literally like hundreds of them, and mine was like a mom and pop organization that kind of branched out. Like I lived in San Diego for a couple of years before I moved here. That's when I would do like the La Jolla Comedy Store and all that, and so I didn't teach for like the improv. I know like a lot of comics taught for the Hollywood Improv and that, but no, it was like a mom and pop organization. But Mike, I tell you, they'd have us instructing over at like the Chevys in Encino, or you'd be at like a banquet room out in Rancho Cucamonga, or you'd be in Elks Lodge in Glendale, like all these strange locations. But it really helped me as a stand-up because, I'd be at the Comedy Store on Friday night doing my set, and then Saturday morning I have to wake up early and then go entertain people, or at least keep them engaged for, that time. And I
would imagine that is some really good training.
It was great training because it taught you, because before I did that, I felt like I need these set of jokes to be funny. And then you realize like, I don't need those jokes to be funny. I mean, it definitely helps to have great jokes and stuff, but I can also, to break away and just talk to people a little bit. Like that's what, and one of the time fillers that I would do, it was almost like I was a talk show host, as I'd introduce myself and I'd give them these 4 things. I say, today we're going to talk about, I go, please, today introduce yourself, give us your name, and then I do air quotes, give us your alleged violation, because I know most of us are innocent. Am I right? Most of us are innocent. And they giggle a little bit right there. So give us your name, your alleged violation, your current occupation. I'd say current because I didn't want to, maybe somebody was going through a tough time and they were doing something they didn't. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to embarrass anybody. So I'd say your current.
They're between jobs or whatever.
Yeah. So I'd always give them an out like that. And then I'd say, and something you like to do for fun, like a hobby, something. And basically that was all set up so we could kind of get to know each other and then hopefully kill 2 hours so we could, and before the break. So then we take a break after that. And it was, dude, I'm telling you, when we got on a roll, it was great. It was almost like a therapy thing because I'd have people well, not me, but just the classroom there'd be situations where we'd all be laughing. There was moments where people would get emotional. Like it was pretty good. You know, I mean, seriously, it was like a therapy, because people from LA that would feel sort of disconnected, but now we're having a connection with random strangers in a room, and a lot of them knew they were never going to see each other again. So there was like this sense of being anonymous kind of at times. You know,
that can make it a lot more fun. And,
yeah.
And it really is up to all the onus is on you to do that, to make it, you really do dictate the vibe in a situation like that. If the guy comes in and he's in a miserable mood,
right, exactly,
it immediately makes the whole thing feel longer.
Right.
You're like, oh, 8 hours with this guy and he's in a shitty mood.
Oh,
and,
totally. They were I would. That's when I learned to turn that sunshine on, man, and be like, hey, we're all in this together, that kind of thing. And like,
well, there's an album name right there. Turn that sunshine on.
Oh, let me write that down. Turn that sunshine on.
You could do that, and then for the album cover, put not you, like an attractive person on the cover with like a big sunset behind them or something.
Oh, like I'm turning the sunset on. Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Turn that sunshine on. Oh, and then I was thinking if I ever did country music, I could call the album "Turn That Moonshine On."
Yeah.
Turn that.
Yeah, you could.
Dude, this is a writing session. Thank you.
You could have a whole Dukes of Hazzard style cover, like you're delivering sunshine across the state line.
We gotta turn that moonshine on. I like that.
Eastbound and down.
Well, I'd love to have some of your grits, but everyone knows my blood type is A positive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of, so that's right. Oh, and then so we'd go around the room and we'd do that. I mean, there was times where, I remember one time when I was teaching in Encino, and it was a smaller class, and at lunchtime, this guy he was talking about how he got the speeding ticket in his Porsche, but he's like, but that's what Porsches are built for. They're built for speed, so it's really hard. He goes, occasionally the freeways do open up, and I'm like, let me just see how fast it goes. And then there was I remember a young, attractive woman, and I just remember those two kind of had like a little flirty thing going on. And I remember at lunch, he's like, hey, you want to go for a spin in my car? And she's like, sure. And it's like, they actually kind of, exactly.
That's all worked out for him.
I know, I'm telling you. There was one time I had class in, Montecito? No, what's north of Glendale up there? Like La Cañada, I forget. Is it Montecito?
Sure.
Yeah, whatever.
No one listening is like, oh, I hope he figures it out.
Yeah, I know.
I really want to know what town it is.
Well, I'm almost like, what's that rich part of Santa Barbara? Is it
Santa Barbara?
Oh yeah,
the rich part of Santa Barbara.
Well, there's like another town.
What are you talking about? Get to the story.
What's the rich part of Beverly Hills? Bel Air.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so anyways, so I show up to class, and I'm like, wow, there was literally one student. That was it, one student, but I was afraid that she was going to be like a DMV monitor, because every day
I was totally expecting a guy to be like, if my daddy finds out that I didn't pass his course,
I know.
You can just move.
I know, because that didn't happen that often back then. I heard like they have these like undercover DMV monitors. I heard it happened a lot like in more like recent times, like the 2000s or whatever. Like I don't even know when. Now it's probably all online, but back then there was occasionally I would have a DMV monitor come in, and and I'd always have I would pass with flying colors because I would give them the information, but I was actually kind of nervous because this lady was like, "Come on, let me go. It's just me and you." She's like, "I'll just she kept almost trying to bribe me. I'll give you extra money. Come on." And I was like, I don't know. Let's just stick with the curriculum. So what's your name? Your alleged violation. It was so weird, And
trying to play to one person is so weird.
Dude, it was weird. And then you know what it came
But for 8 hours, I can't even imagine.
And I'm going to tell you, and this is not even a joke. When it came to her hobby, she goes, I study witchcraft.
Yep.
And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't want her to put a spell on me or anything. But one of the... Oh, go ahead.
If she was a powerful witch, she could have erased the ticket from the database. So you have nothing to fear. I know
that was funny. But one of the things that when you asked me where I got the corny joke, so at the after lunch, I'd always start out, hey, how was
To
everyone's
make
lunch?
a long story much longer.
Much longer to make to meet our podcast requirement of doing a 5-hour Joe Rogan style podcast. I would ask them. I would ask the class, hey, does it think about this at the end of the day? We're going to go around the room, and if you want to tell your favorite clean joke, make sure there's no I had to say that. I figured out you have to say.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You got to say clean. And I go, if there's no ethnic jokes, please. If there's
Right.
if there's 3 guys walking the bar, we know the third one's going to be the butt of the joke. So just say, and I think back then I would say a moron or something. A moron walks into the bar and says blah blah blah, or we don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need you peppering it with your own personal biases.
Yeah, exactly, because it could be super awkward and like just weird. Every now and then somebody didn't get. Like I remember one time this guy didn't.
Oh no!
Yeah, dude. He was like, he goes, he basically told like an age joke or something, and you can already kind of picture the punchline. But he's like, what's the first sign? And I'm just like, oh god. He was just like, okay, that's let me. That's when I learned to like really reiterate the, hey everyone, it's gonna be clean, family friendly. If you can get,
I heard a guy do that at an audition.
Oh no.
This was back when I lived in Colorado, but there was. Yeah. I'm not gonna say an ethnicity, but let's say an ethnicity.
Yes.
Ran a theater.
Right.
This guy was not of that ethnicity. He auditions and he thinks how I'll ingratiate myself into the group is by telling a joke about that ethnicity.
Right.
I've never seen something backfire so hard.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
The lady running it was like, excuse me?
No.
She's like, oh, that's a joke my character does. She goes, no. And it was like, it was the hardest thing I've ever seen happen in an audition, where it was like a chorus line. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
It was like we were all like in line, and they were like, step forward and tell a silly joke. Well, that's what you get with stupid people.
I know.
This guy stepped forward, told his stupid joke, and she goes, excuse me? And nobody had laughed at the joke, thank God. Imagine if everyone had just been laughing and we all had to leave.
What if he saved himself and being like, you said a stupid joke and it was pretty stupid that I told that joke. Anyways.
That was pretty much what he was trying to do. And she was like, she just goes, no. And he just stood there. And we just stood there like, should he leave or should he stay? And finally she goes, you may be excused.
Whoa.
And he looked back at us like we could do something about it. And we're all like, don't look at me, dude. You're the one who like the dumbest thing to do.
Have you ever had a joke bomb like on an audition or like a date or in a...
Oh, I'm sure I have. I try not to remember my bombs.
Yeah.
I know a lot of comedians are into that. Comedians
into that. Yeah.
Very into like the torture of being a comic. I'm really not like that. If I bomb, I don't like to remember it. If I audition and don't get a part, my philosophy on auditioning is do the audition and then forget about it.
Yep.
Don't sit there overanalyze. Oh, I should have done this. I didn't do that. Any of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
you will drive yourself insane.
Oh, totally. I've auditioned, walked back, especially the ones where you're on the lot, where you're like on the Paramount lot, or
and you're like, oh, this was the dream.
Yeah,
this
you kind
was,
of feel, you feel like you're in show business because you're walking past the different stages, and stage 23, and you feel like you're in show business, and then you get in the car and you sometimes I've done this before where I'll play out the audition. I'll even say some of the lines out loud while looking at myself in the rearview mirror. And I'm like, why do I do that? And they didn't even book me, so just let it go.
Yeah, and it's funny because what I noticed for me, maybe, I don't know if it's like this for you, but what I noticed is that a lot of the times, the ones where I was like, I nailed it, I did not nail it at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ones where I was like, I should just move back to Colorado are the ones that they were like, you were great. We thought you were hysterical. And it's like, really? That? What I did there?
I remember taking an acting class with Brian Reese, really good. I loved taking his class on Fountain. He would he would tell the class, when you feel like when you're in a scene and you really feel like, wow, I'm really acting. He goes, stop what you're doing and just be still and start listening. Because when you're like sitting there, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really acting. Stop doing that. Right
I'm
there.
a sensation.
Yeah, I'm crushing it on, he goes, because when you look back at it on camera, you're going to be like, ooh, So.
Wait till people get a load of this. That has never ever worked for an actor. Wait till they see this amazing acting that I'm doing. Yeah, if you're thinking that at all, you're probably doing it badly. There was a guy, he was on 24, and he was real authentic on that. He would always play like the head of the Secret Service, and because that show was almost always about like the president getting killed or whatever, and Jack Bauer would overthrow the plot to do it. Did you ever watch that show?
I've seen scenes of it. I remember we used to watch it in acting class. We're like, let's watch what they're doing, and
see,
that kind of thing.
That's a good indicator of the quality of the show. But the guy had a really great way of saying Mr. President. I don't know what his specific regional dialect was, but he just sounded like a Secret Service agent. He would say, right this way, Mr. President. And even that imitation of it is nowhere near doing it justice. It just sounded very authentic.
Mr. President, yeah.
But, it was like almost like a low mumble, like Mr. President. But very serious, very like, I take my job seriously sort of voice.
I'll be practicing that all day, especially when I'm in my car looking in the rearview mirror. I'll be like,
right,
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we shouldn't drive through this area. Like that sort of thing.
Hey, you kind of sound like Elvis. Like you're an undercover Elvis right now.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah, he had a very similar thing going on there.
Oh, but, I saw a cartoon.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to finish your sentence, and I'll tell you this cartoon that I saw. I got to share with you.
But so that guy did like an acting interview thing, because he'd had a real long career before that and after. And they said, "Do you have any tricks you could learn that you've learned that you could tell younger actors or anything?" And he said that one of the things he did was he would purposefully have something wrong that only he knew about. Like he would put like an unwrapped piece of chocolate in his pocket, or he would put like a pebble in his shoe or something like that for him to concentrate on rather than his performance when he would go into auditions, and that really worked for him.
Wow, it's interesting. You never know if these are just acting, and the legend grows. But when I first moved to LA, there's a coffee shop in the Toluca Lake, Burbank area. It was called, it's still there, Priscilla's. And I would hang out there because there'd always be like showbiz types, like writing their screenplays, working on their stuff, or producers. And it was just interesting to be in that element as I was writing my comedy, working on my stuff. And I talked to this one old school writer, and he had told me that John Wayne, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's true or not, but he said, it sounded like it could be true, but he said John Wayne would keep a little bit of sand or dirt in his pocket because it would keep him grounded. It would make him feel like he was, and I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting choice if that was true,
Yeah, that's interesting. I could see him doing that, or just, being really dirty. And the costume people were like, this guy's always got dirt in his pocket.
Well, I just laid down on the beach out there, just to keep myself grounded. You got to turn that sunshine on, Pilgrim.
Have you ever listened to, I think it's called Celebrities Behaving Badly, where it's just a bunch of tapes of different outtakes of celebrities?
Oh, but I've heard that sort of thing, yes.
The most famous one is the Orson Welles voiceover.
Oh, yeah, when he's drunk or something, drinking too much wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, but there's that one, which is amazing. Look up that if you haven't seen it. Orson Welles wine outtakes is the easiest way to find it. But there's one that's just, there's no visual, it's just a recording session. But it's him just laying into the guy directing the recording because he's one of the greatest directors of all time, and this guy is, a radio director for commercials. And he's like so frustrated with his own life that he's kind of taking it out on this poor guy. But the guy is also kind of like not great at his job, and so he sort of has it coming. And like Orson Welles gets really mad. He's like, he says, there is no way to make what you're asking make sense. I can't say it that way. It just sounds like gibberish.
Yeah. Is it where
and
they
the guy
about...
goes like,
yeah.
I have one more note for you. He goes, what? What now? In the depths of your ignorance, what do you want me to say?
Yeah. Something like the snow and the corn or something.
We know a place, and all this. The show Animaniacs had Pinky and the Brain, and the Brain is very much based on Orson Welles. And they did that verbatim. Like, one of his plans to take over the world is to influence people over the radio, and so he books a commercial, and he does almost verbatim. There are a few parts where Orson Welles cusses that they couldn't do, but other than that, he does. And there's one part in there where he actually tells the guy, he goes, show me how to say that and not sound like an idiot, and I'll go down on you. And I was like,
damn.
wow, that is hardcore. But there's one of them, it's a whole collection of different things like that. William Shatner has a very famous one where the director goes, Mr. Shatner, this was for like the cartoon of Star Trek. And he goes, Mr. Shatner, on the last take you said sabotage. Yes. Well, it's sabotage. He goes, to you it's sabotage. I'm Canadian. To me it's sabotage. Well, could you just say please don't direct me. It sickens me. It's like, that is so awesome and terrible at the same time. It's like,
it sickens me.
What an amazing burn to throw at someone. Please don't direct me. It sickens me.
Oh, I know. I think we're all on fragile eggshells anyways, right, in show business.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember I was on the scene of a movie, and the lead, I forget who it was, but the lead told the director, are you giving me a line reading? I don't need a line reading. And I'm like, ooh.
Most really good actors get upset by that. They do not like line readings. And what's funny is most writers, especially comedic writers, I feel, have a very specific line reading in mind when they write something. And occasionally an actor doesn't necessarily get the joke that they wrote. And so their instinct is to go, well, why don't you try it this way? And meanwhile, the actor thinks they did it amazingly, and they're like, don't you dare give me a line reading. It can cause a lot of friction, I think.
I know. Oh, here's the cartoon I was going to tell you about. So I see a couple of witches, and they're stirring this pot, and they're making a delicious soup, in the witch world. And she's reading the recipe. The one witch goes, tarantula blood, scorpion tail, rat intestines, kale. The fourth gross thing was kale. So I was like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Kale.
Oh, I wanted to tell you a few more jokes I got over. This won't take long, so play along.
Okay.
Give me a line reading of laughter. No. All right. There is this is the longest. I'll start with the longest, and I'll go to the short one. There is an order of monks that is sworn to silence, but each year one monk is allowed to say 2 words. The day arrives, and a monk stands up and says, "Oatmeal, lumpy." The abbot then declares the session over. The following year, another monk stands and says, "Oatmeal, fine." A year later, it's a third monk's turn. "I quit," he says. The abbot says, he's shocked. He goes, "Why?" The third monk replies, "I can't stand the constant bickering." Did I say that right? I don't know. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I got distracted during the middle of the joke. I saw a pigeon outside. Like that was. Yeah.
That doesn't help.
It does. Yeah. Oatmeal lumpy. Oatmeal. I can't stand the constant. Okay. This is. We're gonna edit this part out, guys.
No, I understand
Yeah.
what the joke is. It's a silent monk. Once a year they talk, and it's a fight.
Something tells me you probably have a better joke up your sleeve, but
I might, but I'm not going to do it now.
Okay. Some people wonder. Okay, here's another one. Now this is good. Now, this is more like humorous. This isn't really old school joke. It's more humorous. But I thought it was informative. When it comes to like Hanukkah, some people are wondering like, what is Hanukkah? We don't get it. I like the way this person explained it. They said, imagine if your cell phone battery was on 10% and it lasted for 8 days. Now you understand Hanukkah. And I thought, that's interesting. Okay, I got it.
I guess so.
Christmas movies rebooted as Hanukkah movies. Home Shalom. A Christmas Carol King. It's a Wonderful Life When You Call Your Mother. All right, enough of this. These are straight out of Reader's Digest, folks. I don't think Mike likes this segment.
I don't dislike it. I more feel bad for you, but
I know.
But I feel the true victim here is the listener.
The listener. I know. I thought I like these wholesome jokes. I want to just share them. All right, let's get back to the nitty gritty, folks.
That's what how some churches have coffee and donut social afterwards.
Yes, that was that portion.
That's the place to pull those out.
Yeah.
Wait till everyone hears these wholesome jokes.
Home Shalom. Yeah, exactly. It's no. Do you ever have do you have any wholesome jokes?
No.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Yeah, don't even. I hate wholesome jokes.
I'm
not that I hate them,
I'm not
but
worried about it.
Yeah,
I don't know anyone who's coming to me for wholesome jokes is barking up the wrong tree.
I know.
I don't know what they're thinking,
I know. I was going to tell you this. There's something I'd like to share with you. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. I call this show prep. So I was thinking, well, it's New Year's. Let's talk about some of the idioms, certain phrases that go along. And because this is something that in fact, when I first started the podcast, this is, by the way, you're on episode 205, Mike Black. Yay.
That's a big landmark.
That's right.
For a podcast, that really is.
It really is, right? It's huge because just, a lot of times at New Year's, people are like, oh, my New Year's resolution is, I've been asked to be on 3 podcasts already. And it's like you said, we're just now entering the first week of New Year's. So yeah, a lot of people get these goals, do my podcast. And then they usually stop doing it. It usually doesn't even make like 12 episodes or something like that, I've found,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's people don't realize that the real work is the consistency. Everyone could do a great podcast episode, but to actually take the time to build it and be consistent with doing it every week and finding guests or finding interesting topics, all that stuff is the real achievement. Coming up with a great, entertaining hour.
Yeah, and to do it
that's
when
not
yeah
that hard to do.
And also when you don't want to do it,
when it's hard is on like week 105.
Right.
Especially in a pandemic when there's nothing going on and everybody is having almost an identical life experience. To try and stay interesting and fresh during that is really difficult.
Very difficult. And then the whole Wi-Fi situation when we were, spending a lot of time out in the boonies, out on a farm. I mean, it was like, wow, okay, I guess this is turning into real, it's not like I'm working in the coal mine, but I definitely had to get in the car, drive 12 miles to the nearest Starbucks that would be closed. And what the hell? So I'd have to find another Starbucks, and then they wouldn't let you inside. So you're uploading from your vehicle and it's like 106 degrees up there. And you're like, damn, this is not. So when I'm home and I can just upload and it takes 25 minutes, you're like, yes,
Yeah. And the thing about working in a coal mine is like, yes, that is an extraordinarily difficult job that I don't envy. But it doesn't mean my job is, tasting marshmallows all day.
Yeah.
Things can still be difficult no matter what your work is,
I know. I love, what I was going to say is my first episode that I ever did, it was, I think,
I just love to think that I might have just pissed off a marshmallow taster. But that guy, my job is very difficult too.
I know.
Sir.
Yeah, you try eating marshmallows for 205 episodes.
Yeah. You know how much toilet paper I need? That guy might have a really rough job.
I know. My first episode was, I was like, hey, I just grabbed a buddy in a green room at a comedy club, and I said, let's just do a gratitude list. We'll go back and forth. We'll name 5 things, blah, 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 just to kind of see, like, what happens when you publish and it goes out there. Does it really go on iTunes and Spotify and all? I didn't even know. Let me just see if will people listen? I don't know, and all that stuff. So that was my first one, just to kind of put my toe in the water. And another idea that I had for a podcast, I go, maybe I'll do idioms and the origin, because that was right around the same time I joined a boxing gym, and I found out that, throw your hat in the ring and all these expressions, a lot of them came from the boxing world. And I thought that was pretty fascinating, but I also realized like there were other podcasts that did that. And I was like, I don't know if I could keep that up like week after week. You know what I mean? Like same.
Eventually you run out of idioms.
Yeah, and then also here's another thing I found with idioms: they're not real clear on where they were the origination of them. Like there's a lot of either there's no definition of where it came from, or there's people debating it. So you got that as well.
And a lot of them that are like that may be true, that may be made up.
Right. That's why I thought. Well, I'm still interested in that sort of thing. So I thought, well, I'll just do it every now and then on the podcast because I still find it fascinating and.
Like there's one, it's more of an expression than an idiom, but one that gets heavily debated is the term if worse comes to worse. There are 2 schools of thought on it, that it's if worse comes to worse, which to me is very lateral. It's, nothing really changes. It's like saying if late comes to late, I'll be late.
Right.
That means nothing. That makes no sense. But what makes sense, but it's oddly less popular of the 2, is if worse comes to worst.
Oh, with the T at the end.
Which actually makes sense. If this worst situation becomes the worst situation, we'll need to do this.
Yeah.
But people debate it, and it's like, I'm pretty sure whoever said it first said, well, if this worst thing becomes the worst, the absolute worst, then we'll need to do this,
Right. Like, so I it was last week when I heard someone say, well, the cat's out of the bag. And I'm like, I wonder where that came from. Cats out of the bag. Like, why would they? And so I looked it up, and this is what I found. It said, supposedly merchants would sell customers live piglets, and after putting a pig in a sack for easier transport, would sometimes swap the pig for a cat when the customer looked away. The buyer wouldn't discover that he'd been cheated, and then they got home, and literally the cat was out of the bag. And that's what I'm saying. That either... We don't know if that happened. It kind of could make sense. I could see someone purchasing a piglet and then when they're not looking, stick a cat in there. But I don't know.
I don't. I guess it has to do with the time period. I can't imagine wanting a piglet more than a cat. Also, that would be a more desired thing. I guess for food and stuff, but
are cats cheaper than pigs? I don't know, maybe. So there's that. But then, but when you hear the cat meowing and the pig oinking, and you'd notice, and there's a lot of iffiness there. I always thought in my head that it probably had something to do with like the witch trials. Oh. And
like how they would drown witches and stuff like that, and it was like they'd probably drown the cats too. And
they're little black.
Easier to throw them in a bag and throw them in the river,
I dove into it a little bit deeper, and they said it probably wasn't piglets; it was probably rabbits, because they're similar, and then the rabbits are quiet, so you wouldn't really, someone thinks that they're getting a rabbit and then they get a cat, so could have been that.
Fine.
Yeah. Hey, what about this one? Through thick and thin. I'm like, where did that come from? Through thick and thin. Do you have any guesses?
My guess is that it had to do with your body type for a long time was a great indicator of your wealth. A lot of royalty and aristocracy were a little on the pudgier side because they didn't want for food and they didn't have to work very much. Whereas like the working man or the definitely the poor were on the thinner side.
That's a great guess and great idea. This would be a good game show because you're really good at bullshitting.
I'm not bullshitting though. I really do think that is my legitimate guess as to what it means.
Right. Oh, and I don't mean that as an insult. I meant because I remember a few episodes ago, you're like, I'm a really good bullshitter if I need to be, or I'm really good at. So I was complimenting you, sir.
No, I am, but
yeah.
I just want you to know that is my legitimate guess.
Yeah. Well, according to the internet, you know how wrong they are a lot. We've done this before. Then you'll text me later. You're like, nope, I was right again.
Yeah.
But according to Through Thick and Thin, it says the phrase dates back to the 1300s. It is believed that it relates to entering a dark forest. In some places, the trees are thick and overgrown, while in other places, it is sparse and easy to navigate.
I could see that.
Yeah, so thick and thin. Yeah, but I like your idea too.
It's often called like the thicket, or in the like what they call the point of no return in a forest.
Mm-hmm.
Is the thickest. I don't know what you would call it, congestion, I guess, of trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember hearing that and thinking, what a great term, the point of no return. Meaning what it's supposed to mean is that it would now take you more effort to walk back than it would to continue further into the forest.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to get out of the forest if you keep going the direction you're going than you are to turn back. And I always thought there's kind of a life lesson hidden in there somewhere of like, whether you like it or not, you're always at the point of no return on life. You just can't go back. So you have to just keep trudging through the forest and hope for the best.
Right. That's true.
Through thick or thin.
Through thick or thin. I have to say this. If you're ever, I talked to a guy once at a Thanksgiving family gathering. I didn't know him very well, but I love the story. He said he always carries a flashlight with him when he goes for a hike, because one time he went for just a little day walk. He thought he'd just be out there, and then he got lost and he couldn't find and the sun kept going lower and lower and lower. And he goes, and I don't think he had a cell phone on. So he goes, man, I was really like, it wasn't fun anymore. Like it got to and it was near the beach too. So it's like he had the ocean on one side. He didn't know how to get out of there. Finally, he made his way out. But he goes, after that, I've learned to always carry a flashlight with me, even if I'm going to go out there at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, if you're out in nature, definitely do that. I have a friend who lost someone really close to them who was a nature expert. And they were really into that stuff. And they went for a walk after dinner but in an area that they lived. And they went out for a walk and a fog rolled in.
Oh, no.
And they got turned around, which is very easy to do out in nature. And they did not know which direction to go. And then it just got colder and colder and colder. And they, I guess, made a shelter for the first night and tried to call and were trying to conserve their battery at the same time. And they looked for them for months.
Oh, no.
And eventually came across the body. And so that is some of the best advice you could get. If you live anywhere near nature, always, always, always carry a flashlight with you, and just be very careful. And if you get disoriented, it's probably better to try and stay where you are and do some signaling.
Yeah.
Than to try and keep moving, because you're most likely, when you really think about how directions work, unless you know exactly the direction you came from, you have like 179 wrong guesses to make.
Yeah.
Out of 180.
I was in the Cub Scouts as a kid, and also I don't know if you guys had the Indian guides, the YMCA Indian guides out in Colorado, but some of the stuff that they taught us was like moss grows on the north side of a tree, so that can kind of help you. Like, okay, north side is if there's moss on the tree, but there's not always moss on a tree.
Now, is that constant in every location, or just in was that a regional thing to where you guys lived?
I don't know. I Googled it one time, and that was the answer also, but I just remember that growing up. So I think it's because where the sun is, the sun, it rises in the east and sets in the west, and so you're having it on the south, but on the north side. But you're right though. Like, what would happen if you're lost in Alaska? I don't know. It's
there aren't any trees, I would think. But there are. There are trees in Alaska.
Or what if you're lost in the Palm Desert, or something?
Yeah.
Death Valley. Oh my gosh, you don't even want to go there. Can you imagine? Like, there was a place I used
There's no moss here.
No moss. I'm at a loss for. I remember when it was, like I said, back in the day, during the, when we were up at the farm, up in the boonies, and it would be. I remember one time it was 113 degrees, and I'm like, it was so hot, and I would, to make myself feel better, I would Google what is the temperature right now in Death Valley. And there was a place in Death Valley called Furnace Lake.
Yeah.
And the temperature, I believe, was 133 degrees that day.
Jesus.
Furnace Lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there.
Yeah, don't go there. There are things like that people are just stupid, and they assume because it's land that they could live there. And it's like, no, you have to think of stuff like that. The desert is very, very similar to the ocean.
Yeah.
In a weird sort of way, in that a human being can survive there for a little while, but eventually the ocean's going to win out.
Yeah.
At some point you will drown. It's the same with the desert. Eventually the sun will win out.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn that sunshine off.
Yeah, and it's like, if that doesn't get you, the Gila monster or the shark will.
Oh, gosh. Dude, I know. I'm yeah. Another thing I remember, if you get lost after a while, sometimes your vocal, your voice could get hoarse if you're like, help, I'm over here. So they told us to, like, put, if you have, like, if you see like a soda can or a beer can, put pebbles in there, and you can kind of shake it and rattle it, and it'll make noise. It'll make noise. That way you could kind of do that, and people will, there's someone over there. And what you just said, stay put. Try not to travel around, because then you guys are, people searching for you are going in circles as well. I've learned to whistle, so I can always do the, here, I'll do it real quick. I can do that, so that helps, as opposed to screaming. I can be like, whistling and trying to, can you whistle?
Yeah, any way to make noise and save it for when it seems like someone is actually out there listening.
Oh yeah, and they said, of course, you've seen people do this. Find a clearing, and then with rocks or something, put SOS.
Yeah.
Can you whistle? Do you know how to whistle?
A little, but not like very loudly.
More like
wouldn't do me much good,
You start whistling the melody of Andy Griffith's show or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy looks happy out here. He's not lost. No, it's me. I'm the guy.
Yeah, someone's really, really close by. They can hear me,
Yeah. Here's another New Year's Eve related idiom. Because I Googled, why do we say, I'm going to turn over a new leaf? And I thought this was interesting. What's your guess on why we say, I'm going to turn over a new leaf?
Again, this is just a guess. but there was a time where leaves were clothing. You know?
Oh, I like that. Like Adam and Eve. Hey,
Yeah,
Eve.
and I think some people were like, this leaf's getting a little gamey, and I've been using it all year.
Can you please
time to turn
it?
over a new leaf?
Okay, that's a great guess. From what I read, it says way back in the 16th century, pages in books were referred to as leaves. So turning over a new leaf meant that one was turning to a blank page. I like that. So that idiom means like you're starting a new way of behavior, new stage. Yeah, I thought that was
clean slate.
Yes. Bit off more than you can chew. Yeah, I bit off more than I could chew.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, you would think. You would think, but you're right, it is. But here's what it is. It's pretty much. But it says, this idiom originated in America during the late 19th century when a man offered another man a bite of his plug of chewing tobacco. Mm-hmm. The admonishment, don't bite off more than you can chew, would remind the receiver, don't be greedy.
Fine.
That's kind of gross too, right? Anybody handing it to someone to bite. And of course, why do we say ring in the new year? I'm going to ring it in. You probably can figure that out too.
No, I get, I don't know where that tradition came from.
It said church bells announced the arrival of the new year, like dong, dong. dong.
Oh, yeah, I get it. But they announced the arrival of everything else, though. So that doesn't make much sense.
Right. I know.
You don't know.
One last thing I want to tell you. This is someone sent me this article, because I'm a former redhead, former ginger. Now I shave my head. So in a weird way, if there's any redheaded men out there losing your hair, just shave it because you'll... I was hanging on to the red hair, and once I shaved it, I kind of upgraded myself, I feel, because I went from being related, you look like Richie Cunningham or whoever, to yeah, or you look like the guy from Mask with Cher or whatever that movie. Like I used to get all that. Hey, you look like
real.
Yeah.
People, you know what? Unless this is just a general thing for the people of the world that they should know. When you think someone looks like somebody from TV or a movie or whatever, unless you're very, very certain that person is generally considered attractive, don't tell them. A, they probably already know, and B, they're not going to like it.
Right.
You look like Danny DeVito. Well, you can go to hell.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, once I shaved it, though, then I started getting more of the, hey, you look like Bruce Willis, or you look like Vin Diesel, which is like a lot, way better than looking like those other names I was getting. And occasionally I'll get, I joke around, I get the Jeff Bezos or whatever,
right.
Whatever. But in other words, it's
now,
cool.
If you let the hair grow out now, would you look like the guy from Prodigy?
Probably. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Remember he had that weird clown hair?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I would look I have the Larry David look going on or whatever, an orange Larry David. But
that's a rough look to pull off.
So I got this article someone sent, and it said Ed Sheeran has said he thinks South Park ruined the chances of his ginger hair ever being seen as cool. The singer 30 told how red hair was never something people in America would make fun of until episode of the animated series that aired in November of 2005. When Eric Cartman became a ginger and had the line, "The ginger gene is a curse." He said, having red hair in England was always a thing that people took the piss out of you for, but it was never something in America. People never knew what a ginger was in America. That episode of South Park effing ruined my life. I was going to America and everyone was like, I love your hair, dude. And I was like, oh my God, people like my hair? The episode was said to have inspired the National Kick a Ginger Day in 2008, which saw several red-haired students assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went on to basically kiss up to South Park, and I would love to do a voice on there, and blah 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 blah.
Wait, who is this that said this?
Ed Sheeran, the singer Ed Sheeran.
Oh right, yeah. He sings lovely ballads. And
right. They
from what I understand.
But it's funny. So yeah, I was gonna say he's a little mistaken because growing up with red hair and
full well that redheads were given a lot of
right, because whenever you stand out with a group of people, you're the oddball out, and you're gonna stand out. So some people are gonna have fun with it. Some people are gonna be mean with it. Some people are gonna take an instant liking to you because you're different.
Well, and there was the old I'm gonna beat you like a redheaded stepchild.
Right, exactly.
There was a lot of hatred towards, and weren't you literally a redheaded stepchild?
I literally was. So I literally was a redheaded stepchild.
It couldn't have been great for you.
I know. Totally. It's like the all that stuff. So it was like, but the word ginger, we didn't really hear that until he said like that.
But I think the most famous ginger in America when I was growing up was Ralph the Mouth.
Yep, Ralph Mouth. Yep. Hey, Fonzie, do we still got it? Yep, Ralph Mouth. Yep.
And people are so, I don't know what it is about people, but they're hell-bent on making each other feel bad in a lot of ways. That they'll see a simple pattern like you have red hair, and the guy playing Ralph the Mouth has red hair, and they'll call you Ralph the Mouth. And it's like, if you look at the two of you, you look absolutely nothing alike.
Right.
Other than the fact that you both have red hair. It's the most basic pattern recognition.
I know.
You shouldn't be proud to have come up with, oh, this is going to be a sweet burn. Wait till he hears this.
I know.
But in grade school, that would have leveled any
Oh,
kid,
yeah. And it's,
shut up, Ralph the Mouth, or, and everyone would have been like, oh, dang.
Ooh, you burned him.
It's really not that great.
I know.
The other one would have been like Ronald McDonald.
Right.
Yeah,
Ronald McDonald.
Neither of them making a whole hell of a lot of sense.
I know. It's, it's funny. I even,
kids are awful. I remember I knew a girl, an Italian girl who had a beautiful name, Bellavia Mauro.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that a lovely name? What do you think she was called in school?
Bellavia Mauro.
Do you think kids respected that beautiful name? No, they called her Velveeta Moss Garden or whatever.
Oh, gosh.
Velveeta. They changed Bellavia to Velveeta.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Kids just suck.
Yeah, see, no, it's a great name. You're right. It's like, and that's what you do when you have a kid. You start going through the names. Like, okay, if we call him this, will they be called? When you start going through every bully in your mind of like, what would a bully say? Would they say like, Rick, looks like a, So it's like, well, we're not going to call him.
Yeah, you don't want anything that rhymes with genitalia at all.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. They Yeah, I was thinking about that ginger thing. So it's interesting.
I knew a kid named Carlos, and everyone called him Carlo to farts.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's the thing. Thank God. Yeah, it's like my son's been rapping lately, like just having fun with it, and we're like, don't even put out there that Carter rhymes with farter. Don't even put that out there, son.
Yeah.
If you're gonna throw your name in a rap song, just stick with like what I did, starter. I'm the starter, Carter. I work harder.
Imagine if you had gone with Darren Carter, the hardest farter. Where would your career be? You might be 10 times more famous.
I know.
That,
My Grand Finale is like, I got pyro blowing up behind me. Good night, everybody. Fire! Yeah, exactly.
He did it.
He did it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Why did I even say that on the podcast? But I saved it for the end. So hopefully people stop listening at this point. But
that is the challenging thing of being a comedian, is that you're like, well, that actually could be good for me to go with that,
Yeah.
But I was kind of lucky, and I knew it, that like with the last name Black, anytime a kid tried to do something with it, it sounded wildly racist.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, you go right ahead, you asshole.
Yeah. That's true, man. We're gonna wind it down. I want to say thank you again for coming on the Pocket Party podcast. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's donated and left comments. I love our community now that we're getting out there. You guys, please follow Mike Black on social media. Mike, I love what you posted on Instagram, and people, give him a follow. Do you mind reading that, or should I read it? Because I love what you wrote.
Yeah, if you want to read it, you can, or if you want me to, that's fine.
Could you read it? Because I just love what you wrote.
I don't know how to read. No, Let me see if I can find it here. I assume you don't mean the G.I. Joe post that I put up.
In fact, I shared it on my stories because I'm like, that was so, I loved it. Uh-oh.
Okay, well, yeah, this was just kind of, I didn't get to go out for New Year's Eve, and so I was like, I know a lot of people I know. I didn't get to see each other or be around each other or anything for New Year's, but I wanted to get that sentiment out there that I feel every time around this time of the year, but in a lot of ways much more so because of what we've all been going through. And so this is what I wrote. To those who checked in, hung out, hung in there, listened, spoke, returned calls, returned texts, liked, followed, subscribed, bought a drink, picked up a check, cut a check, tipped the waitstaff, helped with an errand, tried their hardest, didn't let differences destroy friendships, laughed, made me laugh, or helped in any way whatsoever through those dark and deep woods of 2021. Thank you. Happy New Year, and may this year bring you ridiculously good luck and good fortune.
Mike Black, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Black. Buddy,
thanks, buddy.
It was great for having you on thank you so much for doing the podcast with me, my little podcast, my little corner of the world on the internet. And
I am always happy to do it.
Oh, thank you. And man, thank you for the messages. And, you know, your fans are coming on board now. And I think they like hearing you here. And it's great to, you know, come together. And here's to bright.
Well, like I said earlier, you're building, and that's the real achievement. That you've done 205 is really outstanding.
Thank you, Mike. Man, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. And listen, we'll get you back on soon. Hopefully you're around next week and available, and we'll do it. And I'm headed off to Texas this week. I'll be in El Paso, Texas.
So, yes, the show me state.
That's right.
I'm kidding. the Lone Star State.
The Lone Star. Yeah, where does the show me? Oh, that's Missouri, I think. Missouri is the show me
sure.
state. Sure. Yeah. All right.
If they say so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. And Mike, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You got it. Darren Carter, party starter, Mike Black off. Man, that was cool. Thank you guys for hanging in there, listening to the entire podcast. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. What I used to say, well, look at you. You made it all the way through episode 205. Wow. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If you want to help out on the podcast, something you could do totally for free, share the link. If you're on YouTube, you see it on YouTube, comment on some of those YouTube videos. It helps the algorithm. And if you want to, you know, show a little support financially, I'm available. I'm out there. Venmo at Darren Carter Comic on Venmo. PayPal, go to darrencarter.com. PayPal. If you're on the Cash App, you hit that. It's $sign Darren Carter Comic on the Cash App. Other than that, we'll see you soon. Hope we made your day a little bit better. And God bless you. Have a great day. Don't hurt nobody. Don't hurt nobody. Be careful.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to The Pocket Party.